Welcome to the Rock Record. Let's talk rocks. I have a big old fingerprint on my... The Hawaiian Islands are a chain of volcanic islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but the Big Island is special. It's not only the youngest of the main Hawaiian Islands, it's also home to some of the most active volcanoes on Earth. To understand why this island is so volcanically active, we need to dive deep. Really deep. Like beneath the ocean and the crust deep. Here in the mantle, a stationary hotspot creates a plume of magma that rises through the crust. As the Pacific plate moves over this hotspot, it creates a chain of volcanoes, the Hawaiian Islands. This process has been ongoing for millions of years. The oldest exposed Hawaiian island, Kira Atoll, is about 30 million years old. The Big Island, where we are now, is less than 1 million years old and still growing. The Big Island is made up of 5 main volcanoes: Kohala, Mauna Kea, Hualalai, Mauna Loa, and Kilauea. Each of these tells a part of the island's geological story. To dig deeper into this geologic story, first we are heading to the famous Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Just as a heads up, permits are required for filming for commercial purposes, so I obtained one for this channel. While we often tell stories written in ancient stones and have previously chatted about some of the oldest rocks on Earth, today we are visiting some of the youngest rocks on Earth. Now I'm just going to give you all a heads up that my pronunciation of the Hawaiian words is not great, so I'm doing my best that I can here. And of course, this is the Rock Record. We're going to talk mostly about the geology of this area, but it does have a ton of cultural significance I'm going to briefly talk about. However, there are a ton of other fantastic creators, so if you want to know about Hawaiian culture and history, please seek out people who are more authoritative than I am on that. The national park system includes 91 parks with volcanic resources. 19 park units were set aside specifically for their volcanic features. Alrighty, established in 1916, this park covers over 335,000 acres. But what makes it so special is that it is home to 2 of the world's most active volcanoes, Mauna Loa and Kilauea. The park has a ton of opportunities and adventures for visitors who want to spend 1 hour up to 3 days here. There are 2 scenic drives within the park, the Crater Rim Drive Loop and the Chain of Craters Road. We'll show you a little bit around each. There's also several hikes, scenic viewpoints, ranger programs, and more. One of the first stops we visited on this trip was the Chain of Craters Road. Now, this may or may not be open depending on if the volcano is erupting in certain spots or not, so definitely check out the park website before heading down this direction. The first 5 miles follow the uppermost part of the East Rift Zone, passing the group of pit craters that give the road its name. In 1955, volcano specialist Gordon MacDonald watched Kilauea's lower East Rift Zone eruption. In Volcanoes of the Sea, the Geology of Hawaii, he wrote the only known eyewitness account of the formation of a pit crater. Alright, I'm not going to read to you from every crater along Chain of Craters Road. If you want to find out more, you can check out the Roadside Geology of Hawaii. There is a new edition out that talks more about Chain of Craters Road. Further down the Chain of Craters Scenic Drive, the road crosses broad flows of pahoehoe and a'a that roll down the slope from a lava shield where it approaches the top of Holeapali, the first great slump scarp on the south flank. At Mulawai Opele Pullout, the road crosses a beautifully developed flow channel in lava that erupted from Mauna Ulu in 1974. Surges of lava pouring through the channel cast many large lava balls onto the channel levees. While we're here, this is probably a good time to chat about the different types of lava in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. So speaking of lava, here we can see the 2 different types of lava. Over here is the pahoehoe. It's a kind of pillowy, ropey lava. It flows a little bit like hot syrup. A'a lava, on the other hand, is kind of rough and chunky. And it's kind of painful to walk around, so I wonder how they came up with the name A'a. The different kinds of lava really come down to viscosity and rate of cooling. Pahoehoe is less viscous and cools more slowly, while A'a is more viscous and cools quicker. The lava here in Hawaii is among the hottest lava on Earth. It erupts at around 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 1,200 degrees Celsius. As it cools, the lava forms new rock. So here we are walking on some of the youngest rocks on the planet.
This ongoing process of destruction and creation is what makes Hawaii Volcanoes National Park such a dynamic geological laboratory.
The Chain of Craters Road is about 40 miles in both directions as you drive down, stop at the sea arch, and drive back up. So it does take a few hours, and I definitely recommend it if you're visiting the Volcanoes National Park for a day or more. If you're a bit short on time while visiting Volcanoes National Park, you can definitely do the other scenic drive, the Crater Rim Drive Loop. These days, the drive isn't quite as much of a loop. As of the creation of this video in September of 2024, much of the loop is closed due to construction and repairs on the roads, as well as the removal of earthquake-damaged buildings, construction of a new volcano observatory, and renovation of other buildings. When you think of Volcanoes National Park, a lot of the sites that you immediately think of or you see photos of are on this loop, so I definitely would consider it a must-do. And it doesn't take too long, which is really nice.
Alright, one of the first stops here along the Crater Rim Drive, heading counterclockwise, so taking the west from the visitor center, is the steam vents. You can see these all over, the steam rising up from the ground. Visitors here 100 years ago actually used to use the sulfur bank as a health spa. Although no hot springs exist here because the ground is too porous and fractured to hold shallow water for a hot spring. Nearby this area of steaming is a grassy meadow. Hot, acidic groundwater has killed all of the deeply rooted plants, so it's kind of brown and grassy.
The steam vents parking area, Wahinkapu, Steaming Bluff, and Ha'akula Manu, the sulfur banks, are all nearby the visitor center. The steam at the sulfur banks can be amazingly hot. In 1922, scientists drilled 2 holes to measure underground heat in the area. Temperature measurements remained constant at 205 degrees Fahrenheit, or 96 degrees Celsius, down to 50 feet, the maximum depth drilled. Be sure to check out the steam around the area as well from Steaming Bluff. The steam is created as groundwater seeps down to rocks heated by magma deep underground. The rocks are so hot that it vaporizes the water, returning it to the surface as steam. From the steam vents parking lot, you can check out excellent views of the Kilauea caldera or hike along the Crater Rim Trail. Up next, one of my favorite scenic overlooks in the park.
Alright, so here we are at the Kilauea Overlook, checking out the Halemaumau crater. Kilauea is one of the youngest and most active volcanoes on the island of Hawaii, and one of the busiest in the world. In recorded history, Kilauea has only had short periods of repose. It has covered almost 90% of its surface in lava flows within the last 1,000 years. Some even say that the name Kilauea translates to spewing or much spreading. First forming underwater roughly 280,000 years ago, Kilauea is a fairly typical shield volcano with long, shallow slopes. Its surface makes up an area only slightly smaller than the whole island of Oahu. Traditionally, Kilauea is viewed by many native Hawaiians as the home of the volcanic deity Pele, or Pele. She's said to reside in the Halemaumau crater. This is a persistently active volcanic pit within the summit caldera. This crater has actually grown in size since the last time I visited here in 2016, and it is so cool to see the dynamic difference. So while the volcano may be resting, she is by no means no longer active, and an eruption can happen at any point in time.
Little did I know at the time, this was proven true just days after I left. On September 15th, 2024 at 9 p.m., Kilauea began a new eruption along the Middle East Rift Zone, about 8 miles from Kaluapele, the summit caldera. This was the first East Rift Zone eruption since 2018 and shows how much the park can change at any given moment.
Kilauea's ongoing activity allows geologists to study volcano processes in real time. The summit caldera, rift zones, and frequent lava lake formations provide invaluable insights to how volcanoes work.
From here, the Crater Rim Drive Road currently ends where the Jagger Museum used to be. There is ongoing work here as of this recording, so be sure to check the website or the National Park app to stay updated on all the happenings at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park.
So it's really interesting here at Uekahuna. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. We're seeing the construction happening and the removal of some buildings. And when I was here in 2016, I was able to visit the Jagger Museum and so many other different places in the park. But I also wasn't allowed to visit places that are now open. So it's really interesting, and it's so cool to be able to visit the park. I mean, for me, it's been 8 years, but how fast it can change. And it's something that you don't really get at a lot of other national parks. You know, you go to Yellowstone or Glacier, and they're beautiful, they're stunning, but they don't change as drastically as this park here. So I think that's a really cool aspect. So even if you've been to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park before, highly encourage you to visit again, because it's always something different.
All right, so the scenic drives are knocked out. Now let's talk about some other aspects of the park. One of my favorite things to do if you have time in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is, of course, take some day hikes, and there are so many good ones to choose from. Some of the popular ones include the Pu'uloa petroglyphs, the Ha'akula Manu sulfur banks, the Kilauea Iki hike, which I did not get to do this time, but it is on my bucket list because I've been wanting to do it so bad, so next time, the Devastation Trail, and of course a fan favorite, the Nahuku, or the Thurston Lava Tube. This is a hike I've done both times that I've been to the park, and it's definitely the number one I recommend that you make time for.
All right, welcome to the Thurston Lava Tube. So how are these lava tubes formed? So we often picture lava as like a river flowing. However, it is molten rock. So what happens is the top of that rock, especially because it's flowing a little bit slowly here in Hawaii, starts to cool and harden. However, that creates like an insulating layer. That insulating layer allows still molten lava to flow underneath it like an underground river. That molten lava creates and flows through these lava tubes, and lava in lava tubes can stay warm for a really long time, sometimes even up to a year.
This lava tube was created about 500 years ago, when a river of 2,000 degree Fahrenheit lava once flowed. Nahuku means the protuberances, which possibly refers to the lava drippings that once hung from the ceiling. Unfortunately, those disappeared due to souvenir collectors after the tube was discovered in 1913. So the Nahuku is rated as a moderate hike. I think that's mostly because it does go underground into a confined space. I personally find the hike pretty easy. It's a really nice trail. I think it's great for everyone to do. There is a parking lot for this hike specifically, or it's a 1.5 mile round trip walk from the Kilauea Iki overlook. The lava tube is lit from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We visited around 4 and it was still pretty busy, so if you can go a little bit later or earlier in the morning, I would definitely recommend that if you want to yourself. If you wanted to have a real adventure, head to the lava tube outside of those hours and bring a flashlight. When walking through the lava tube, please be respectful and please do not touch the walls or any of the hanging roots. Alright, before I get into my visiting tips and tricks, there is one last aspect of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park that I think is super underrated, and I encourage everyone to visit if they have time, and a vehicle that can handle the roads. That is, visit the famous Mauna Loa.
This is so cool. We are here at the observation lookout on Mauna Loa, which is 6,623 feet above sea level. Way up in the distance here, you can actually see the park. So you can kind of see a little bit of this cinder cone and a couple of the craters. But it's way out in the distance. And this 6,600 foot lookout here on Mauna Loa is nothing. Mauna Loa actually extends 13,681 feet above sea level. That in itself is pretty crazy, especially here on the Hawaiian Islands. That's pretty tall. However, Mauna Loa is the largest active volcano on the planet. It means long mountain in Hawaiian, and it is the quintessential shield volcano shape, signified by the broad, rounded slopes. It is also massive. Mauna Loa makes up roughly 51% of Hawaii's Big Island, and it rises an astonishing 30,000 feet from the bottom of the ocean, making it taller than Mount Everest if measured from the bottom of the ocean to its summit. By itself, the landmass that is Mauna Loa encompasses almost twice all of the other Hawaiian islands combined. It is that huge. As I said, Mauna Loa is still active. Eruptions of Mauna Loa historically have been characterized by high volume flows that produce lava capable of traveling long distances. That helps create that broad shield volcano shape. Mauna Loa is comprised of the main summit caldera called Moku Awio and two rift zones to the northeast and southwest. The two rift zones historically have been very active, sending out flows towards both Hilo and Kona. My pointing is arbitrary, by the way. I'm not sure which direction things are. Since 1843, Mauna Loa has erupted 34 times. This averages about once every 5 years. So Mauna Loa is still part of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. However, I'm not sure what percentage of visitors come here every year. It's about an 11-mile road, and although a car can make it up, there's definitely some rough spots. It's one lane for 8 of those miles or so be sure to drive cautiously and watch out for joggers and other cars if you're coming up here. From the lookout station here, there is a trail that leads to the summit caldera. It's around 19 and a half miles one way, so we are definitely not going to hike it today, but I bet it's a really cool trail. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. All right, so this is not a well. This is actually a tree mold. So when lava flows through the forest, the trees can't run, obviously, but there is so much water here that when the lava hits the tree, it actually starts to cool as, the steam evaporates from that tree. And even though the tree eventually kind of burns up, that hardened lava keeps that original shape and continues to flow around it. So these tree molds show the original depth before the lava flowed. And my goodness, it's way down there. That is so cool.
All right, so you're thinking about visiting Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Let's talk about some tips, tricks, and of course the geological highlights you just have to see.
All right, on the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park bucket list or scavenger hunt, my goal is to see these volcanic features: lava tubes, steam vents or fumaroles, cinder cones, craters, lava flows and fields. All right, as visitors, you may be tempted to take a rock from the national park. Many of us have heard about Pele's curse. Okay.
But what is Pele's curse?
Let me tell you. Is that how you wanted to go? So Pele's curse is the belief that anything natively Hawaiian, such as sand, rock, or pumice, will bring bad luck on whoever takes it away from Hawaii. One version about the legend's genesis is this: a disgruntled park ranger, angry at the number of rocks that were being taken from the island by visitors, said that Pele would curse them with bad luck should they take anything. Another version is often told that bus drivers, tired of dirt and crime brought on their buses by tourists' collection of rocks, started the story at the beginning of each tour to discourage rock collecting. The myth has caught on, told as if it were an original Hawaiian taboo, and every year countless tourists send items back to Hawaii in order to escape the awful luck that Pele has cursed them. So although the legend itself is probably of 20th century origin, the removal of rocks as souvenirs is now frowned upon by Hawaiians. It is important to remember that it is illegal to take any objects out of a national park, be it this one or any of the others in the national park system. So just resist, don't do it, and put it back.
Here are some essential tips aside from our geology bucket list. Number 1, bring sturdy, closed-toed shoes. You'll be walking on uneven volcanic terrain, so good footwear is crucial. They don't call it for no reason. Number 2, pack a rain jacket. The weather can change quickly, especially at higher elevations, and the Hilo area is actually one of the rainiest parts of the United States. 3, don't forget water and sunscreen. The volcanic landscape offers little shade, and staying hydrated is important. And 4, consider staying at the Volcano House. This historic hotel offers stunning views of the Kilauea caldera and is a great base for exploring the park. Speaking of the Volcano House, their restaurant is a must-try. They have 2 different options. Both are a little bit expensive, but well worth dining with a view of the crater. It's an experience you won't forget, even if the crater is covered by fog like it was for us.
My partner says this is our payback for being able to see Poas in Costa Rica last year. So pro tip, if you want to visit the park, doing so before 9 a.m., you get into the park free, which we have a park pass, so it's not a big deal. But the little stations aren't open yet, although neither is the visitor center. The visitor center is open from 9 to 5. So if you're up early like we are and want to head to the park, it's nice and quiet. Highly recommend doing it then. instead of going on during the busiest times, which is around probably 9 or 10 to probably 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So that's my recommendation on visiting the park. But for now, we will brave it and we will talk rocks in front of people. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is more than just a beautiful landscape. It's a living, breathing, geological wonder. Here we can witness the processes that have shaped our planet for billions of years, still at work today. From the slow movement of tectonic plates to the sudden drama of a volcanic eruption, this park tells the story of our dynamic Earth.
Our geological journey on the Big Island doesn't end here. Keep an eye out for more rock record videos from Hawaii. We'll be scaling Mauna Loa, the tallest mountain on Earth when measured from its oceanic base, and exploring some of the rarest beaches in the world, including the stunning black and green sand beaches. You won't want to miss it. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming adventures on the Big Island and beyond. Before we go, we want to hear from you. Where should the rock record go next? What geological wonders do you want us to explore? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring the amazing geology all around us. Aloha!